Welcome to Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, thanks for watching. Well, how about this holiday spending and debt? We're going to get into that, but first, my special interview with the Speaker of the House. Let's get to it.
This is Pennsylvania Newsmakers, a fast-paced, unrehearsed weekly discussion with and about the leaders who shape your world. And now, here's your host, Terry Madonna.
Well, in the true holiday spirit, I think you thought when I said Speaker of the House, I thought you thought I meant Nancy Pelosi, but sitting across from me is the Speaker of the House, the Pennsylvania House of Representatives, Mike Turzai, who represents a district out in Allegheny County, the 28th district. You see, what do you think about, have you ever been introduced that way?
You know what, Terry, no, that's the first. But with the Speaker and all her maneuverings, for the lack of a better phrase, right. She's front and center, right? So everybody thinks it's probably her.
Yeah, that's right. At any rate, we've invited the Speaker. We've also invited the Governor, Tom Wolf. We hope to hear from his office and have him on the program. He's been on before, and we have politicians from both parties. All right, Mr. Speaker, let's start with this. We're ending, obviously, the calendar year. What would you say? You, the Republicans, you control the legislature. The governor is a Democrat. What would you say was the most important accomplishments of your cooperation? Because if the governor doesn't agree, then
Terry, we use a phrase, and you've probably used it too. You can't get anything done unless you have 102, 26, and 1, right?
The one, I knew who the one is.
And the one's the governor, right? And then we have 203 in our body, so you need 102 to pass legislation. In the Senate, they have 50, so you need 26.
Right.
I want to say that first and foremost, it's this past budget. Terry, let me explain.
It was done on time, and it was done with a consensus.
And $300 million put in a rainy day fund.
Yep.
Two things, Terry. You have to give credit to the president. It is a robust economy. It's growing. The lowest unemployment rate in recorded history for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, less than 4%. And when you compared the budget we're in now, the budget year we're in now, the fiscal year compared to the prior budget year,
right,
our revenues grew across the board by about 6.5%. The corporate taxes alone grew by 18%.
All right.
Personal income taxes were up about a little over 5%, and this is the revenues. No tax increases.
I was just going to say.
No rate increases.
And the governor didn't even recommend sales and income taxes, which he has in past budgets, but not the last couple. Go ahead.
Correct. And when he first came in, he wanted us to increase, as you said, sales taxes, personal income taxes, create a severance tax. He wanted to also do what we call cradle-to-grave taxes, literally diapers, literally caskets, and we held them all off.
Right.
We kept saying, grow the economy, grow the economy. The Republican House and Senate maintained steady levels of growth commensurate with what the revenues were that were coming in. So all this revenue has grown in real dollars.
Right.
Because people are making more, they are spending more, and there's a real... Oh, and there's more people working.
Yeah.
It's full employment.
One of the priorities that the governor had, which the Republicans have bought into, is increase in education spending.
Yes.
Which certainly did lag during the tenure of Governor Corbett, and now.
Although he never cut.
No,
I
understand.
State tax dollar investments in public education.
Right. But Governor Wolf and you Republicans in the legislature have increased it, and they've been very popular. But go ahead, take it.
Yeah, Terry, I have a chart here in front of me, and I want to. We are spending well over $13 billion in taxes collected at a state level from our taxpayers on public education K through 12. In addition, it's an interesting thing. When local taxes are collected, people forget that it's the state legislature, it's state laws that create school districts.
Right.
School districts aren't there on their own.
Sure.
And we empower school districts to collect taxes for education on a local level. It's the same taxpayers.
Right.
We've always empowered local school boards to do that, but that comes from the state. Mm-hmm. The fact of the matter is we collect from our taxpayers over $33 billion in taxes on public education. A couple things. For teacher salaries, we are the second highest average teacher salary out of 50 states in Washington, D.C. in the country. We have the third highest average starting salary for a teacher in the country out of 50 states in Washington, D.C. We spend on a pro rata basis, a pro rata expenditure on students. We are number 3 in pro rata expenditures on public education K through 12. Now keep in mind, I support school choice too. In addition, in our budget, listen to this. From 2010, 2011, we were contributing about $285 million annually to the teachers' pensions. In this last budget, on an annual basis, we contributed $2.6 billion plus.
Okay, we got to run to a break. When we come back, we continue with this, but I also want to make sure before I let you free that we want to talk about your priorities for the
I love it. School choice in particular.
We'll be back after these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry, the statewide voice of business, and by the Pennsylvania State Education Association and Partners for Public Education, bringing the power of a great education to our schools, our students, and our communities. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Highway Information Association, the go-to source to learn about transportation projects and issues. Please visit pahighwayinfo.org. And by the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. Business in Pennsylvania is our business.
Welcome back. My special guest is Mike Turzai. He's the Speaker of the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. We talked in the last segment about what occurred during the last calendar year. I'm going to get into the future, but first, I want to make this big point. You and the governor, your members and the governor, don't always agree. That's an understatement. But you know what I'm proud of? The fact that when you disagree, you're not screaming and shouting. You're not cursing at each other. You're not using horrible language. And there's nothing wrong with having disagreements. But what we see in D.C. is not replicated here in Pennsylvania. Or am I in Mars? Am I completely out of it on that?
No, you're completely correct. I always tell folks, look, our members and the governor and the senators, everybody comes to Harrisburg with a good purpose. They want to improve the lives of the citizens of Pennsylvania, right?
And maybe in different ways.
They have different perspectives, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I can honestly say it's always remained civil and respectful. And I think as Speaker of the House, I'd like to, one of the things I feel proudest about is the decorum in which I run the chamber. Right. I treat everybody fairly, and because it's a democracy, right, Terry?
No, and I'm all right. You wanted to make a point before we go ahead to the new year.
Yeah, the other thing, Terry, we did these tax credits for petrochemical facilities in Pennsylvania back when I was majority leader and Tom Corbett was governor. If you get a chance, and you may have already been, in Beaver County, I'm from Allegheny County, the petrochemical facility that Shell is building is the largest, the cracker plant. It's the largest construction site in North America. 6,500 skilled tradespersons, laborers, electricians, iron workers, operating engineers, steam fitters, plumbers. They're all on site building that facility. All that money going into their own pensions and to their health care into the future, in addition to the high wages. Going to have close to 700 full-time employees on a brownfield site. The opportunity we have with natural gas, which is reducing our carbon emissions. It's reducing our carbon emissions by the use of natural gas, making Pennsylvania and the country cleaner. The opportunity to bring manufacturing to Pennsylvania. We did a tax credit, Terry, earlier in the year, 139 votes, bipartisan support. We had 34 Democrats along with 105 Republicans. that would allow for a comparable tax credit to be used in the production of methanol, urea, ammonia. Now, I didn't really know fully what you could use urea or ammonia with, but you can use it in agribusiness.
Right.
The product that's in the northern tier, kind of like the Lackawanna, Luzerne area, you could get manufacturing booming again up there with the use of this tax credit, like we're seeing in the Southwest. That's really been our vision.
And the governor, by the way, is on board. He has some concern about the pipelines and the environmental concerns, but he's certainly not been.
I mean, no, he is not, and I think it's because we have shown that you can grow the economy and make the environment.
Before I let you go, give me two of your priorities for the coming calendar year.
I still think, to be fair to every child, we need more school choice. Let's take Harrisburg, the capital city. We're spending well over $21,000 per student. 60% of that is coming from state tax dollars. Terry, the proficiency levels are 7% in algebra, 9% in biology, 13% in English. The state representative there, the mayor there, their children go to private schools. The mayor's actually been supportive of a proposal we put on the table. There would be a scholarship-like program. Don't have to take it, it's voluntary, where we would be able to get up to about $8,000 per student, where they could go to a private school or another public school if they were accepted and wanted to be in there. The Catholic school system has said that they have well over 1,000 seats in the various Catholic schools. I don't mean that it's limited to Catholic schools. There's non-denomination schools, there's Christian schools, there's Jewish schools. But I think that there's opportunity there, and I think it makes for more competition. It is not as if Pennsylvania is not investing. We already talked about the investments in public education in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Right.
The governor vetoed a very robust educational improvement tax credit scholarship bill that the House and the Senate passed. He vetoed that. I think we should find some common ground on school choice.
Okay. All right, we're out of time. I want to thank you for coming in. All right, guess what? Holiday spending, it's going up and up and up. It creates debt, and the folks from the Pennsylvania Credit Union Association are going to join me, and we're going to chat about that and what you can do about it to make sure that the debt doesn't cause you difficult times in your family's finances. And we'll do that after these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Credit Union Association. Pennsylvania Credit Unions, where people are worth more than money. To find a credit union that is right for you, check out ibelong.org. And by the Energy Association of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania's energy information source. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Association of Pennsylvania State College and University Faculties, representing the faculty and coaches who are devoted to providing quality public higher education for Pennsylvania's college students.
All right, welcome back. Well, how about this? Let's talk about money management during the holiday season and the new year. And joining me to talk about that is Pat Conway. He's the president and CEO of the Pennsylvania Credit Union Association, and Deb Kauffman. She's the CEO of the White Rose Credit Union in York, Pennsylvania. All right, let me start out with you, Patrick. American consumers will increase their spending on gifts once again. Take it.
Absolutely. You know, it's a busy time of year. People do spend a lot of money. We expect more holiday gift purchasing this year than ever before. The past couple years, actually, we've seen increase over increase. You know, so it's great for the economy. Yeah. But we also encourage our members, credit unions, and community financial institutions to.
And now with online, I don't know, in my family, we're now doing a lot online, as everybody does. That's another way, in other words, just to increase the amount of money that you spend over the holiday season, right?
Absolutely. It's easier to spend than it has been in the past, and so we're seeing more of it. Generally, the economy's in pretty good shape, so that contributes to that as well.
All right. Despite the warnings, people are going to end up in debt. I don't have to tell you, you're on the ground dealing with consumers, right? Dealing with your customers.
Yes. What the biggest concern is, you know, they're going to overspend. They use more than one card, so they don't really keep track of everything that they're actually spending. So what we want to make sure that everybody's safely doing it. Try to come up with different ways to use just one card to do your purchases if you're going to do a lot of online purchasing, and then pay it off on a monthly basis or make small payments to it throughout the time period. Yeah,
look, here's what you sent me. Average American household debt. I'm shocked just reading this. Am I reading this right? $144,000? That can't be right.
Yes.
It is. And the total U.S. consumer debt, $12.8 trillion, and I won't even get into mortgage debt and all of that. You're absolutely right. I mean, this is a very serious problem.
Yes, and with credit cards, it's so much easier with everything online because it's just,
good point.
You don't really track it.
All right, so what do? How do people control the debt? You get the big question.
You know, Terry, we encourage consumers, you know, to have a budget, you know, a monthly budget, an annual budget, stick to that budget. If you don't already have one, develop a relationship with a trusted financial partner, a credit union, community bank, other financial institution, and take a critical view of your personal debt, you know, and develop a plan, you know, to manage that and pay off the highest interest rates first and sort of manage, you know, that debt carefully. But really, I think having a plan, sticking to it, is the best approach.
You're nodding here, but you also made a point earlier that I think is important. When you're doing holiday spending, use a separate card and only that card. What's the point about that?
Well, that helps you keep control over your spending. We've already made some suggestions to people that are on a tight budget to, rather than using a debit card and a credit card, just using your debit card so that the money is in your checking account to handle it, and knowing a fixed amount that you plan on spending that for the holiday is the biggest one. Great
point. All right, we're going to run to a break, but here's what I want to talk about next. We're supposed to make a New Year's Eve, whether you do it on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, who cares? A resolution, am I right? A resolution. Yes. You have several that you want to talk about, both of you, so we'll do that after the break. Here come we're a little early, but, you know, we'll do it anyway.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Medical Society. Inspired physicians committed to the good health of Pennsylvanians and the advancement of the practice of medicine. And by the Pennsylvania Healthcare Association, the future of long-term care.
All right, well, we're into this money management during the holiday season and into the new year, and I think it's time to talk about resolutions. We make New Year's resolutions. I make them to watch more Eagles football. Am I allowed to say that? I'm going to get into trouble, but that's okay.
Sunday.
Yeah, that's right. When this airs on GAL Sunday, everybody watch the Eagles game. Go ahead.
Well, you know, I think a really good one, New Year's resolution, is teach your children about finances. You know, Deb and I have talked with you, Terry, about debt, you know, all the spending in the holiday season and how it can drive up, you know, family debt.
Sure.
We have 50 in-school credit unions around the state, and our members are in about half of the 500 school districts in the state. And, you know, we really teach, you know, we think teaching children about financial, you know, well-being is important. And parents in the household, I think we could all do a better job with that.
Yeah. The other thing is about a budget. I mean, you know, do families have a regular budget? Do you need a special budget when you get to the holiday season? So, I mean, look, we all want to buy nice gifts and we want to create our families, you know, in a real strong and positive way. But debt's a problem. And the fact of the matter is that you have to have a monthly budget, don't you?
Yes. It is the best thing to do. Is you should have a resolution to have a yearly budget, let alone a monthly budget. But for the holiday season, it does really help if you have already budgeted into your factor to have a Christmas club that matures that's given to you in October usually.
Yeah.
And then you have a set amount to spend. Rather than, you know, it's said that average spending for Christmas is over $1,000. So most people, a lot of people don't have $1,000 just sitting ready to go.
So they get the credit card out, and then they have to have a, how are you going to pay it off?
Then they blow the budget that they thought they might have had.
Yeah.
So yes, creating a budget is important.
But there's another aspect of this, and that has to do with what we do about saving and investment. Saving is critically important, especially when you get close to retirement.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you age and get closer, certainly it's even more important. But start early, and that's why I think teaching kids about finances is important. And we as a society, I think, could do a better job with that. A key part of that is savings. Put some money away and then watch it grow. And as you see it grow, it makes you feel good, and you get excited, and you're much more likely to continue to put those dollars into savings, no matter how small. Yeah. It's really important.
Well, the facts that you've provided me, the personal saving rate, GDP, decreased from 7.5% in the early 80s to a negative. So savings is negative now. It's rebounded this year. A bit over 3%. Could be the health of the economy and the fact that we have more people working.
Yes. That's really important. It's when you're living paycheck to paycheck. Some people are one paycheck away from losing their house. Yeah. If somebody gets ill, that's the really importance of getting on a budget so that you can have extra savings available to you.
Yeah. Oh, this is the one I love. Think about how much you could save if you skipped that daily latte and opted for a travel mug of homemade coffee instead. But I mean, you make the point. I mean, we can joke about it a little bit, but right, you make the point.
Exactly. Just $10 a week, easily a cup of coffee a day, and if you put it into the Christmas Club or put it into a special savings, that's $520 at the end of the year that you would be able to have for something.
Yeah, and more people, I think, don't have. I'm back to this plan for saving and investment, and how the more I think about that that is so critically important, so that you don't end up. Here's another statistic: 69% of Americans plan to work in their retirement years to supplement their income. This number has increased due to recent turmoil in the financial markets. Of course, the stock market is at record highs, but it still is critically important. When you get into retirement, you have enough money to live, right?
Right. Most folks want to maintain a similar lifestyle when they retire, and because they haven't saved and planned, they have to work and supplement their income in their retirement. I like to think of saving as paying yourself first. So no matter how small, if you can take, a small portion of your pay and pay yourself first by putting that in savings to help prepare yourself for that retirement for the long term. If you look at it that way, it makes you feel good.
But that's important. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And we're about out of time, but I want to thank you for coming in. I think this money management is so critically important, and you'll come back and keep us updated on these. All right, we'll see you next week for another edition of Pennsylvania Newsmakers. And as always, stay well and have a great holiday.